Welcome back, City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm being joined by a young lady that our paths go way back.
Definitely.
Definitely so. Educator, friend, brother, my friend, family friend, just all of the above. I'm being joined by none other than Miss Sequita Freeman. Miss Freeman, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alton.
Well, it is a pleasure to sit down with you and to talk about something that I think has really caught on in our communities and the state of Georgia. And there was last month, there was a blessing of a cemetery right here in LaGrange. The cemetery that you're going to talk about is one that I'm familiar with because I have relatives that are buried there as well. You're here to talk today about the Union Springs Community Cemetery Association and particularly the Union Springs Cemetery.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about, first of all, how did this all come about, if you don't mind telling us?
Well, since I was a little child, I attended Union Springs United Methodist Church and occasionally the Baptist Church, which is right across the street.
That's right.
On Highway 219, Whitesville Road, near the Jones Cross intersection with Highway 18 and 219, West Point, Georgia. My mom was an Andrews. Her parents were John and Lily Andrews. The Andrews family is well known in Troup County, West Point, LaGrange. They were farmers and went around with their trucks peddling produce. One of my granddaddy's brother, Pierce Andrews, would say, we give away love, but we sell our produce.
That's right.
And so just growing up, we knew that the cemetery was adjacent to the church, and my grandparents are buried there. Several of my mother's brothers are buried there. My grandparents, my grandfather's parents are buried there. And so December 2019, Union Springs United Methodist Church closed its doors. And the United Methodist Church North Georgia Conference offered to deed the property to the community for the preservation of our ancestors in the cemetery, because once the doors closed, the church building and the property, 1 acre surrounding it, became property, well, it was already property of the United Methodist Church, but they really wouldn't have need for the cemetery. And so that last Sunday in December 2019, about 40 of us gathered together at the church, and we met, celebrated with them, all of their dedication for the ones who were remaining. And after that, we had a business meeting to talk about, you know, what's the pleasure of the people? Right. Do you want to receive this property and preserve our heritage, or do you want it to, you know, just go back to the United Methodist Church? And unanimously, everyone in attendance stood and said, we want to preserve our cemetery. And from there, we elected or appointed board members and named officers. And in the process, I was named as a chairman, chairperson of the board. So it's truly been a pleasure and is a pleasure to work with everyone to preserve our history. Prior to our assuming, annually during homecoming, Union Springs would put out a table, and family members would bring, you know, money to help with keeping the cemetery up. And so now we kind of don't have that. So we're looking for just different ways to connect with all the people who are connected with people who are buried in the cemetery.
You know, you said so many, and when you mentioned some names, and they probably saw my head go back. Mr. Pierce Andrews, I remember him so very well. Lived up there on top of the hill.
Yes, he did.
And garden back there in the back, and like you said, always had the produce. Donna Andrews, Sanford Andrews, we all rode the bus together.
Wow.
So when you said that, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Those are my cousins.
Absolutely. Well, you know, this is a great opportunity to preserve heritage. And that is so important, because my stepfather, his brother, his aunts are all buried there in that cemetery. And I know the cemetery very well because as a kid, I went to Union Springs Baptist Church across the street. So I know the area very well. But you all are doing some things now to preserve, to make sure that, you know, there are no graves that are unidentified. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Sure. So the need arose for us to have a new entrance into the cemetery. And we wanted to make sure that wherever we put that entrance, in addition to meeting all of the DOT requirements, that we were respecting the graves that we didn't know whether or not they were buried. We can walk the property and look and go, I think that's a grave that looks like an indentation, but we wanted to be sure. And with the assistance of Valerie West, she looked and identified a couple of companies that did that type of ground penetrating imagery, and she connected us with Lynn Strozier with Omega Mapping, and we employed him to begin a 3-phase process. And phase 1 was with section F, which is our 6th section of the cemetery. So we've platted out the cemetery, amateur basis of platting, but we've got 6 sections, and section F is that open field right there closest to the road where we needed to make that entrance. And so December 2023, Mr. Strozier came down and with his equipment walked that open field, and after he completed his imagery and surveying that property, he identified 92 unmarked graves.
Wow.
And so we went in and put up some posts with some chain links to preserve and keep us from driving over those graves, put some metal markers down to identify where he had located, and put a flag to say this is the head of the grave. So we put a marker there, and then we got Wilkie Bobcatting Services to come in and put in a new driveway, and so we just drive over the grass, but making sure to stay clear of those graves that have been identified. So that's the beginning. We have several more sections to do. Our goal is for phase 2, sections A, B, C, and D, and then for phase 3, section E.
Wow. You know, you're talking about that, and we was talking about those unmarked. As a kid, I remember going there, and Miss Dealey Crawl, and I can remember her grave, as you talking about, when you kind of drove into the entrance of it, it was right there kind of to the right. And I know the last time that I was out there, I could not identify the area, but maybe one of those areas at 92 were one of the areas that she's buried in there.
Right. So her family section actually is in section F, what you're talking about, and it's right there. Now when you make the entrance into the cemetery, it's to the left of that little drive. And there may be some more crawls that are in that area that are in some of those unmarked graves. You know, I don't know. I have to go. We do have a census, and we know that there are 264 plus marked graves with headstones, but with the additional 92, we've had some recent burials, and then in those other sections, we know that there are some graves that are not marked. So we know that the census of the cemetery is far more than 400 people that are buried there.
Absolutely.
The interesting thing is, when I started growing up, I went there with my grandparents. I was not a member until 1990. I joined in 1990. And that's Union Springs Methodist. I joined there. And during that time, part of where you make the entrance now was all overgrown. And Mr. Ray came, went to Reverend Lonnie Thornton at the time, he was our pastor, and said, I know there are graves back there. I want to see this area cleared off. And as a result, Reverend Thornton led a group of people from the church, the community, and the Parkmans in clearing off all of that overgrowth, undergrowth, everything. And now it's down to like 3 trees that are just, you know, landmark staples, because those 3 trees are where we find the bulk of the people that were unmarked, buried there. And Mr. Strozier, when he had begun the survey, I was there, couldn't stay the whole time. It took him about 3 or 4 days to complete that section alone. And so when he started, we were there and observing, and he had an opportunity to talk with us, and afterwards he talked with us as well. And he talked about how historically, from his expertise, what he's seen in other cemeteries such as ours is that would be areas where they're buried where slaves would be buried. And the farmland that would be down underneath the trees in a lower plateau area would be where they would farm, but on the upper part where there would be a lot of roots from the trees, that's where they would bury some of the slaves.
Wow.
And they would put them by the trees so that they will know exactly, you know, where they could go back and find them. And I just got chills as he was talking. He talked about being able to look and see many of those in that section with the 92 are not in vaults. And so that denotes a time frame. They're not, and some of them may have been in caskets, but because of the vacuum that's left, probably was a pine box that is disintegrated.
Right.
And so now there's a void there, and it's just a space.
Right.
And he even said that just from looking at some of the graves and what the imagery shows, that there's some that are enshrouded. And that could be a symbol of time or economics.
Okay.
Just being wrapped in fabric.
Right. You know, so interesting. Y'all have an event coming up as we get ready to close out.
Yeah.
Talk about that event and how people can get involved with it.
Sure. So we have, since 2019, we have the association, and we meet, the Board of Trustees meets quarterly, and then the whole association meets biannually. Every March and every September. So typically, because we started in the pandemic, or the pandemic started when we started, so we had to do it online.
Okay.
And so September, we try to make that an in-person and on Zoom. We tried Facebook as well, but we try to make that an in-person one, and we try to make that a celebration, a time that we reflect and we come together. So this year we're coming together at Mountain Springs Baptist Church on Highway 18, where Pastor Alfonso Simpson Jr. Serves as a pastor there. It's 3 o'clock on September the 8th. We're looking forward to a great time. It's going to be kind of sort of like a homecoming, if you will. We'll have sermon. We'll have a reunion choir singing. We had choir rehearsal last Monday. So, hey, you're welcome to come. I know you sing. So we've got rehearsal coming up Monday at 12:30. I know that's Labor Day, but to give you enough time to go back and eat your hot dogs and hamburgers and do all those things. But that rehearsal is at 12:30 at Lynne Holle. And so we invite anyone with voices from Union Springs or anywhere in Troup County, come out and join us, and we want to sing and have a good time. And then following our worship service celebration church, we'll have a brief meeting where we'll talk about our accomplishments for 23 and 24, our plans for the rest of 24 and 25. We'll celebrate our fundraising and initiatives, and just update the association on where our financial status is, and any other business that we have to discuss with everyone.
Wow. This is absolutely outstanding. And you know, I definitely want to get you back on to talk a little bit more about this, and then how it's coming as far as those various sections being, mapped and everything of that nature. But I definitely wanted to get you to come on and kind of get the word out there. And those singing voices, 12:30 at Lynne Holle on Labor Day.
Right.
Come on out.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Come on out.
And we do have a Facebook page. With a Facebook page, our goal is to update more information, but you can also find out, ways that you can support financially. If you have knowledge or resources, we're looking for people with expertise in financing, because we realize our time is limited as well. And so we want a perpetual we want a perpetual process, so that it goes on even when we're no longer here. Absolutely. And so we need younger people. We need people that can help us to set up those perpetual accounts, and just a wealth of expertise in researching genealogy, because we want to combine the history. And I know we need to go, but I want to leave you with, there are so many families there, and I know a lot of people will look at the cemetery as this is a place where our dead are buried. We look at it as this is the bookend for their legacy. We stand on their shoulders, blazing the trail for the people who are coming after us.
That's right.
And so we have to tell their story. We're obligated to tell their story, because behind every grave is a life well lived.
That's right. That's a very fitting closing right there.
Thank you.
So, Sequita, I just want to say thank you for being my guest today, and definitely we will be connecting again.
Okay.
On many levels. Okay.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Welcome to City Scenes. I'm your host, Lynne Holle from Visit LaGrange. Today we're going to be talking about just a few of the events that will be happening in and around our area during the week of September 2nd through September 8th. So let's get started. Friday, September 6th at 6 p.m., Pure Life First Friday Porch Party Socials at Truett Vanderbilt Club. The event will be held at Truett Vanderbilt Club, which is located at 304 Broad Street in LaGrange. 2 drink tickets are included with the price of admission. Tickets are $25 each. Cash or credit for additional drinks is accepted. Bring your lawn chairs and or blankets. Lee Daniels will put a smile on your face as you chill out on the porch or great lawn at Truett Vanderbilt Club. Songs from the past will float through the air and there will be plenty of tunes to sing along with. Nutwood will have wine and beer available for purchase. 2 drink tickets are included in price of admission. For tickets, go to purelifelagrange.com. Saturday, September 7th from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m., Taco Wars 2024 at Wild Leap Brew Company. Wild Leap Taco Wars returns. Free entry. Full night of delicious tacos from food vendors all over Georgia. Live music from Shelby Brothers Band. One day only beers, craft cocktails and slushies. Vote for your favorite tacos. Brewery games. No outside food or beverage is permitted. Food, alcohol, soda, and bottled water can be purchased at the event, which will be available at multiple spaces inside and outside. This is a rain or shine event. Saturday, September 7th, knitting class at Piney Woods Farm. Come out to Piney Woods Farm and learn the art of knitting from scratch in our fun and interactive knitting class. Perfect for beginners to master this cozy craft. For tickets, visit their website, pineyWoods.farm-events. Also September 7th, beginning at 4:30 and running until 7:30 p.m., it's the Stroller Stroll on Lafayette Square. 1 in 5 moms will experience mental health challenges around the time of pregnancy and or childbirth. 75% of their partners will also experience a mood disorder. Suicide and substance overdose is a leading cause of death for Georgia moms. It's time to raise awareness, connect, support, and heal. Join us for a stroller stroll for parental mental health, followed by a suicide awareness and prevention event on the square. Joy Inside Tears, a mental health nonprofit in LaGrange, is set to host its 2nd annual suicide prevention awareness event on Saturday, September 7th. Be sure to come out and support both of these events. Those are just a few of the events for the week of September 2nd through September 8th. For more events, visit our events page at visitlagrange.com/events or go to the City of LaGrange calendar page at lagrangega.gov. Have fun and stay safe.
and gentlemen, thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from the Union Springs Community Cemetery Association. I had on Chairman, Ms. Sequita Freeman, as she talked about the various things that are taking place there at the Union Springs Cemetery on Whitesville Road. Also, if you want to get involved, you can come on out on September the 2nd at Leet Hill, 1230. They have a choir that's going to be practicing for the upcoming event that will be held on September the 8th at 3 p.m. at Mountain Springs Baptist Church on Highway 18. Ladies and gentlemen, a very wealth of information that's being told about the cemetery there on Whitesville Road. So if you want to get involved, give her a call or visit their Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this interview. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.